G'day, it's Coach B from Ascension, and today we're going to talk about nutrition. It's a key part of realising our goals and achieving whatever our set outcome is. And this might range from trying to change or sustain our current body composition. So that involves things like losing weight, trying to gain lean muscle mass, or trying to stay at our current weight. We can also look at it in terms of fueling and nourishing our body for actual training. And that's not just the actual session itself. So don't just think pre-workout, intra-workout, post-workout. That's overall. That's what we eat throughout the entire day, the entire week, the entire month that allows us to actually do a large amount of physical activity or to do specific types of training. How you fuel yourself for training doesn't just factor in the actual energy you're going to use during the session, but also looks at things like actual recovery, making sure you're in the best condition to actually do the session, doing the session, and then recovering adequately. Lastly, people can look at it in terms of just basic health, and that's in order to try and sustain the best quality of life they can. Nutrition plays a massive role in both health and fitness, and that cannot be understated. There's no point going to the gym or doing whatever to try and improve health or fitness outcomes if you don't factor in nutrition. It is significant. What you eat in your diet is not something separate. It's a part of the actual whole process to improve or maintain whatever level of health and fitness you're looking to. We also shouldn't view diet as something you do when you want to see a change. We should view diet or nutrition or whatever you want to call it as the food you eat on a normal basis. And that's a very distinct difference. A lot of people will view dieting as something they do when they want to change or things aren't working out. We shouldn't look at nutrition or diet in that view. It really is just whatever you eat, for better or for worse. Once we can look at it that way, it's simply the food that you eat, and going on a diet isn't really a thing. You're simply modifying or adapting your diet or your nutrition plan to suit your goals or outcomes. Without going into fiddly amounts of detail, I like to look at nutrition in terms of priorities, as opposed to should I eat this, should I eat that, is this good, is this bad, is keto good, is paleo bad. Just forget about all that shit to begin with. Just throw it away. Let's start from the beginning. And in order to improve or to change or to sustain healthy eating habits, we should prioritize what we do and what we eat. Like training, it should be planned and well thought out. If you understand some basic priorities and principles first, you can make more informed decisions and make sure your nutrition actually underpins and supports what you're doing, not just when you're training, but your lifestyle overall. There are 5 main priorities I want to go through now. They are prioritized by the amount of impact that they will have. Priority 1 is the most significant thing to factor in when it comes to looking at your actual nutrition. It simply trumps every other priority in terms of the impact it can have. However, it's relatively hard to do, and that's consistency. Having good consistency and good habits will beat everything else every time. There's no point factoring in any other principle or buying anything or looking at anything in terms of diet and nutrition until you can actually establish and then sustain consistent habits. And that's not just for a couple of days or a week or a month. I'm talking at least 3 months, but in reality, we're talking a lifetime. So it's something you want to be able to do and able to sustain for the rest of your life. A lot of people, that's pretty significant, and that's a very significant change. So the best way to go about it isn't to try and do the craziest thing you can, which you know you're going to fail at. It's to make small incremental steps to improve your habits and improve your consistency. Any positive change will have impact overall. So establishing and setting good habits is the first and most important principle when it comes to nutrition. Next is energy balance. Now, energy balance is important regardless of what you're trying to do. Lose weight, increase weight, or sustain weight. In the simplest sense, to maintain your current body mass as it is, you need to eat the same amount of energy in a day that you would expend during that day. Not just at the gym or anywhere else, but overall. Energy is being used all the time by your body, even when you're asleep. Now, if you're looking to lose body weight, then we need to have a deficit. That is, we need to eat less than what we actually use. And that can be difficult. And a lot of people will try and do something drastic and go, well, let's just say you need 2,000 calories of energy every day just to sustain your current lifestyle to not increase or decrease weight. So you're in balance, energy balance. A lot of people go, well, I want to lose weight, so I'll just cut down from 2,000 to 1,200, an 800 calorie deficit. And they'll go, and the weight will come off. And in all honesty, it probably will. However, we go back to point 1. Is it something you can consistently sustain? Is it a healthy habit that you can do for the long run? And the answer is, fuck no, you cannot. It is not a sustainable, consistent, healthy habit. And that's where people fall over. It'll work for maybe a week or two, then you'll realize you have no energy and you're constantly tired and lethargic. You'll feel run down, your sleep will decrease, and you'll have no energy in the gym, and you'll see your performance drop because you're robbing your body of energy. So we have to be intelligent in how we actually look at energy balance. On the flip side, if we're trying to increase our body mass, and typically most people will focus on increasing lean muscle mass, so they go, well, I want to train, I want to get stronger and have bigger muscles, which is more tissue, which is going to require more energy. That makes sense. You need to be in an energy surplus, so you need to consume more than what your body needs to sustain its normal activities. And that will make sure there's an abundance of energy available for your body to actually use to do the work it needs whilst you sleep, whilst you rest, whilst you recover, to actually grow. Now, this can be dangerous as well. Someone goes, well, I need 2,000 calories normally. I'm going to bump it up to, let's say, 3,000 calories on a whim and see how that goes. What you'll find is if you consume too many calories, you will gain weight, and it will not necessarily be muscle. Regardless of what you eat, it's going to turn into fat. The human body has mechanisms to sustain itself. If you provide it with an abundance of energy, it will go out of its way to store as much of that as possible, just in case it needs it. So increasing the amount of energy you consume drastically will see an increase of weight, and it will not necessarily be lean muscle mass. A lot of the time it'll be converted to fat, because that is the way your body can store surplus energy for use later. The third priority is the breakdown of your actual macronutrients. There are 3 macronutrients you need to consider: protein, carbohydrates, and fats. Now, there are different types of carbohydrates, different types of fats, and there are different types of proteins, believe it or not. So it can get a little bit complex when you're looking at trying to get the optimum amount of those 3 key macronutrients. No macronutrient is actually bad in isolation, and even the subtypes. So we talk about things in terms of carbohydrates like sugar. When it comes to fat, we can say saturated fat, typically 2 things that are seen as bad. They aren't bad in isolation. There is an amount of both of those things that your body actually needs to sustain life. Where it becomes bad or where it has negative consequences is when you consume in excess. Just like training, the idea is to get the right amount of macronutrients you need. Now, importantly, this is going to differ depending on what your goals are and what your training is. The breakdown of macronutrients you need when you're trying to lose weight on a training day versus a non-training day are going to be a little bit different. If you're trying to increase lean muscle mass again, the actual ratios and breakdowns are going to vary slightly. When it comes to maintaining or sustaining a set weight, depending on the type of training you do, is going to have an impact on what the right macros are. After macronutrients comes the other fun nutrients, which are micronutrients. And these pretty much break down into 2 key areas, being vitamins and minerals. Micronutrients are called micronutrients because you only need them in really small amounts, especially when compared to the amount of fat, protein, and carbohydrate you actually need. There's a whole bunch of them that you actually need every day to maintain normal function. And again, if you're training, you may need an elevated amount of certain types of ones. Again, we shouldn't view micronutrients as being good or bad. Simply, there is an optimum amount you need to consume for your diet. The 5th priority, which has less effect than the following 4 priorities, is nutrient timing. Looking at what time you actually eat during the day, not just in terms of specific times by itself, but in terms of when you wake up, when you train, then how you break down the total energy in a meal, and the actual macronutrients and micronutrients for a meal as well. It isn't really going to matter that much until you get the first 4 priorities locked down. So whilst it can be important, the actual magnitude of the improvement you get out of having really specific meal timings is minor. There is one thing probably missing on this list that a lot of people will be curious to, and that is supplements. Where are supplements in terms of priorities? It's not in the top 5 things. They aren't a magic bullet. What supplements you buy is less important than those 5 other factors. Having some pre-workout or post-workout or intra-workout supplements is not going to lead to a significant improvement in your body composition in terms of losing fat or increasing lean muscle mass. I'm not saying supplements are bad. In fact, they can be useful, but the magnitude of the improvement they have compared to those 5 other factors is insignificant. They only really give you a slight improvement when you've got those other 5 things locked down tight. And they're called supplements for a very good reason. They're meant to supplement your diet in terms of you need to be short on something. So in terms of a specific micronutrient or macronutrient or energy overall that you're not getting normally, they supplement that by giving you more of it. So if you're short on protein, a protein shake can be good if you can't consume enough protein for what you're doing. So the key takeaways from this Whiteboard Wednesday is to understand that nutrition goes hand in hand with training, and they're both linked to the same thing, which is achieving a specific goal or outcome. That goal might be broad and simple, like I want to lose weight, or I want to be healthier, or it could be really specific, like I want to improve my total in the squat, bench, and deadlift, or snatch and clean and jerk. Nutrition is paramount to your success, whether you're looking to improve your health or fitness. That being said, the best way to utilize nutrition is to look at those 5 priorities and get them locked down.